So Mobble, just for a recap of those who aren't aware of who we are and what we are farm and livestock management software made simple. So we are made by farmers for farmers. And essentially, we're a place where we can manage data, record keeping, animal health, mapping, and much more. And we'll go through what all of that means today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the basics of Mobble and assist with some best practice, some setup tips, and how you can get the most out of Mobble moving forward. As we go through, please drop any questions that you do have into the chat box, and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can by the end of this session. And if we don't get to them as well, Maddie, who's joining us, will be able to drop in, we'll drop in the details of where you can email or contact us, and we can potentially set up a separate session or provide any further information that you require. So just to recap again, so my name is Sam. I'm joining you from Wollomene, New South Wales. So my family, we're on a sheep property here. We've had about 100 mil of rain in 24 hours, so we are quite wet, which is awesome for us. But I am the head of partnerships and community at Mobble, so that's what I do here. But really excited to have you all join us. So I'm going to share my screen with you all now. Alrighty, everyone can see my screen, I'm hoping. Righty, so for the purpose of this demo and webinar today, I'm going to be using our Mobble demo farm, and I'm also going to be talking in our Australian lexicon. And so I know we have a few people joining us from around the world, but when I'm saying words like mob, I'm referring to herds, depending on where you are, and paddocks being fields, and properties could potentially be a ranch where you are. So please forgive me, but it's a good call early up that all of these settings are entirely customizable in Mobble. So when you create your property, you do have the ability to update these based on where you are in the world and what units and formatting that you want to see. So first cab off the rank in terms of customizing your Mobble. So when you create your account, you'll see this left-hand menu here, and you can see settings down the bottom left-hand side. You'll have profile. So if you select into profile, you have the ability to update your language. And so, as I mentioned before, if I change to English, but Canada, like Diane, where she's joining us in Alberta, she'll be able to see the lexicon based on herds and fields for her ranch. But obviously, we'll be using the Australian lexicon today. Similarly, in units and formatting, you have the ability to update your stocking rate based on what you prefer to see, your area unit, length unit, and alike. And that's really to make Mobble entirely customizable based on how you like to run your property, or also the language and the units that you use. So when you open Mobble, you'll open up to the dashboard. You get a nice highlight at the top of the screen based on what's currently in your Mobble account. So as mentioned, so I've got my Mobble account in DSE, so dry sheep equivalent. You'll see your livestock totals, your total grazable hectare, DSE per hectare, and active tasks. But as I mentioned, all of that entirely customizable based on your property. I did mention this before, but I do just want to preface, this is a demo farm. And so in terms of what you're seeing, like livestock and records and things, it is just demo. And so it won't be entirely representative of a farm, but please just bear with us as it's an account that we all use. So you see a nice schematic here with your livestock totals, and just a nice split of what you currently have on your property and in your account. And you can view this by head or DSE. On the right, you've just got a nice historic event log here. So everything that happens on your property, you have the ability to see. Rain gauges, so another feature of Mobble that we will get into, but if you have logged any rain in your property, you will see this here. If this were our property at home, you would see that my husband has added quite a lot of rain in the last 24 hours, which is awesome. But obviously our demo property, nothing's been added here. And then on our right side here, historic livestock. So you can essentially see your calendar year or whatever year that you prefer, and head or DSE per hectare. So just a nice visual of what livestock are currently on your property. When setting up your Mobble, we recommend that you start with your map. So we'll go there now. So from the left-hand menu. So this is the Mobble map. Obviously, this is already created on our demo account, but to start with, what we suggest is that you map your property, and then you can add any assets. You can add in your mobs as you go, add any tasks, and alike. And so we'll explain what all of that means now. So to start with, to map your property, the easiest way, I think, everyone has slightly different methods, but from the map page, you'll select your bottom right-hand plus, select add paddock. sorry. And then you're going to zoom into where this paddock is on your map. And all you'll do is you'll just place dots around the map. So you'll just click and put dots, depending where your paddock boundaries are. Again, I'm just absolutely making this up for the sake of this demo. And then when you've finished that paddock, you're just going to double click when that's completed. Oh, didn't double click. You can see on the right here that this snap boundary is turned on. We recommend that you do have this turned on, as what it means as once we create this paddock, it will snap the boundary of this new paddock to the fence lines of the neighboring paddocks here. So you won't have any gaps between the paddocks. Down the bottom, you'll have the ability to name this. So for the sake of this demo, let's call this, oh, it's actually March. I'm so sorry. I've been saying February all for the last 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. We'll add March for the sake of the demo. A paddock type. Let's call this a pasture paddock for the sake of the demo. Click Add Paddock. And there you go. We've just added that paddock here, and it's given you a nice hectare in terms of what's available. That paddock has also just come up green as well. And so in the settings, that's entirely customizable, just to give you a nice visual of the styles of paddocks that you have. And you can add different paddock types, or you can change those colors depending on what you have on your property.
Sam, I just
So
wanted
once
to
you've
interject you.
mapped all, oh, sorry, Maddie.
Sorry, I was just going to say maybe it might be worth showing people that there are different map satellite options that they can choose from as well.
Yes, a really, really great shout. So what Maddie's referring to is different map providers do have slightly different updated satellite imagery, and it does depend where you are in the world. So we do recommend having a bit of a play around with satellite providers. So to do so, in this top right-hand corner in the map options, so Mapbox, satellite Mapbox will be the default when you create your mobile property. But we also have this map tiler. We have here Google and terrain if you prefer. So depending where you are in the world, they will be slightly varied or slightly more updated. So for example, if we click satellite Google, that will automatically update what you can see there in the background in terms of the satellite. So yeah, really good call out, Maddie. And if you aren't sure that your mobile map is the most up to date or version, depending on what's currently happening on the ground, just play around with that, the satellite functionality, and hopefully you can find one that is more up to date. So once you've added all of your paddocks, we recommend you add any map assets that are of value to you. So map assets show here as these pins you can see here. So for example, a dam has been added. What have we got over here? We have a trough, or down the bottom, another dam as well. So to add an asset, so from the bottom right-hand plus, select Add Map Asset. And now you have the ability to geolocate this anywhere on your property. So why we recommend doing this is what we're creating is an entire mobile map of your property, which then your entire farming team will be able to use moving forward. So it's just a really nice way to have everything mapped out so your team know where everything is at all times. So if we zoom in, it appears there's some sort of a dam down here. Select that on the map. You have the ability to change the type of asset that this is. So I'm going to select a dam, but you do also have the ability to add a line, for example. So we'll do a point asset, and then we'll come back and we'll show you a line example. Select dam, select add asset. Now this pop-up screen will automatically open where you have the ability to name your asset. So let's go March dam. You can add a description if that's of value. Some people like to add based on, what happens in these assets. So this could be rain fed. It could be fed from a bore, for example. So let's just say rain fed. And this is just provide your farming team with as much detail as possible. Again, confirming it's a dam, showing you that location, and then you select add asset. And you can see that that asset has been added down the bottom here. If you wanted to, for example, add a pipeline, so you can see this pipeline here. Oops, sorry, I selected the paddock, this pipeline here. So similarly, it's like adding an asset. So bottom right-hand plus button, select add asset. So I'm going to change it down the bottom here to start with, and let's select pipeline. So what we're doing is we're creating a line. Let's just pretend and do a mock pipeline here. So what you'll do is you'll select the start. You can either select points along the asset if it does change in direction, for example, or you could just do a start and finish. So once you've finished mapping where that line goes, double click, just confirming it's a pipeline, select add asset. And then again, you'll be asked to name this asset, add a description if you would like, and then confirming the type of asset. And also here, it will show you the length of that asset too. So we've added that asset, and when you scroll back in, you can see it really nicely here on your map. So once you've added all your paddocks and then you've added all your assets, what you're going to do next is add any mobs in. So there are a couple of ways to do this. Again, I'm going to show you from the map page as I think it's the most intuitive, but you can also do this from the mob page, and we'll get to the mob page in a little bit. So to add any mobs to your map, what you're going to do is from the bottom right-hand plus, once again, select add mob. When creating a new mob, you have the opportunity to add it based on these three options here. So you have setup or other, which is what we recommend the first time you're creating your Mobble account. You have natural increase. So if you are lambing or calving, it's what we recommend that you use, or if you purchase a mob as well is the third option. So let's go setup or other. So you'll have to forgive me, my voice is quite croaky today, so I do apologize. You'll be asked to put them into a paddock instantly. So let's put them into this March paddock that we've created. The date added to the paddock. So we will use today, but you do have the ability to backdate that date as well for your records. Livestock type, let's say that these are cattle and these are Angus. So this is pre-populated based on your last record as well. All of these breeds that you can see in the list here, you do have the ability in the settings to add breeds or remove breeds from this list based on what you have on your property. So for example, if we only had Angus cattle, you could customize this list to only show Angus, for example. Gender, let's call these steers. Ages, let's say they're 24, 25, for example. Number of head, let's say it's 100. I'll come back to classes in just one moment. And DSE per head, so this will pre-populate always, but you do have the ability to update this manually as you go ahead, but we'll leave that as 8. So classes is a really interesting tool in Mobble that can help you differentiate between different mobs that you have. So all of these classes, again, can be added, deleted, edited. You can add a new class type here, as I mentioned. You can do that here, or you can also do that from the settings as well. Now, what we use the classes for is that just shows us the difference between when you've got mobs entered in Mobble. So currently in Mobble, you don't have the ability to name a mob per se, but this is the equivalent of in terms of differentiating between different mobs. So for example, let's call these heavies. So now that mob will be tagged as heavies moving forward. Select next, once we've added all our details for that mob. This is just confirming what that mob is. So we've got Angus steers, they're in the March paddock, there's 100, DSE per head is 8, ages and classes. Then we select save. And you can see that this mob has been added on the right here. So if I select that mob, it's just showing me a nice little highlight of what that mob is. You can see that the ages here, 25 and 24, have been color coded. Now, that is customizable in Mobble as well. So this is just showing us that if you put an ear tag color on a certain year, you have the ability to represent that in Mobble too. Cattle is a manual process, so based on what you use, what color you're ear tagging with each year, but sheep will go as per the recommended ear tag color, sorry. But again, both of those are entirely customizable based on your practices. So if you don't follow that, you can absolutely update them as you go. But it will also show you just a nice little dot here on that mob, just to give you a nice little representation when you're quickly looking at that mob too. So what we've done is we've added our paddocks in, we've added any assets, we've added our mobs. And so this is just giving you a really nice snapshot now about what's currently happening on your property. What you can see, if you select your paddocks list on the left here, you've got a really nice list of all your paddocks. So you've got paddock name, type, grazable area, if there's any mobs in that paddock, head, DSE, and etc. This on the right here, days grazed, days rested, is a really nice grazing tool that can help you with your grazing decisions. So for example, Amy's paddock here has been rested for 26 days, meaning there haven't been any stock in that paddock for the last 26 days. You have the ability to download this paddock list to view it any way you'd like. So for example, if you wanted to view it based on days grazed or days rested, for example, um, or if you wanted to view it based on your type of paddock. But it's just a really nice way to see all of your paddocks in one list. Similarly with the mobs, you have the ability to see a really nice list of mobs as well. So you can see type here, head, breed, gender, DSE, etc., all the way across. Again, this is entirely downloadable, and you can view this any way you would like. Filter, for example, type, head, breed, for example, gender. You can also search this. So, for example, if you wanted to search merinos, if you type in the word merino, it will just pull up those sheep that are of merino breed, for example. So just a really nice way to see all of your mobs on your property. Going back to the map page just quickly, a few more things I want to touch on here before we move on and talk through how some of the features themselves work. You'll see a couple of things here. So these red dots, for example, so this is when a task has been added to Mobble and it has been geolocated. So to add a task, so the bottom right-hand plus button, going to select Add Task. You can then scroll into the map for wherever this task is. So for example, let's pop it over in the March paddock just to keep it all consistent. Let's pop it on this fence line. So you can see that orange dot there. We'll then select Add Task. This will pop open the Add Task page. So we name that task. Let's say check fence line. You can add a description if that's important or not. You can upload any attachments here. And this is a really cool new feature that we're rolling out at Mobble at the moment. And I'll touch on that in a moment in a more broad sense. But if you had any attachments that you wanted to upload, whether that be a photo of the fence or any PDFs, for example, you can upload those into Mobble. You can add a due date. You don't have to add a due date, but you can. So say this was an urgent task that you want it done by Thursday. And then you have the ability to assign this task to a team member. And this is where Mobble is really good with team communication. So for example, I'm going to assign this task to Carly. I can do multiple team members if I like. So once I've added this task, Carly will get an alert in her Mobble saying that I've added a task for her to complete. So it's just confirming that this is in the March paddock, and it will show you that this has been added to the map in the sorry. The map's confused. Here we go. In the March paddock, as you can see here, this red dot, and we'll select Add New Task. And you can see that that task has been added. So once again, Carly would get a notification saying that that task has been assigned to her. And this is just providing a snapshot of what that task is. So check the fence in the March paddock to Carly due on this date. You can see a full list of tasks that have been logged as well, as you can see here. And what you can also do is once a task has been completed, so for example, let's just say remove old fencing materials here, you have the ability to mark a task as complete. So essentially, this is a task that was previously assigned. It was assigned to anyone, meaning that anyone on the team could complete it. And then I'll select Mark as complete. And it will just say status. It was completed by myself on today. So if I go back to the tasks page and I see completed here, you can now see that that's moved lists there. So the tasks functionality is just a really nice way to keep all the team informed of everything that's happening on the farm, but also to have a really nice log of what tasks are being completed or what's left outstanding. Alrighty. Other things that are really cool on the Mobble map, just quickly before we go through some of the functionality, as I mentioned, you have the ability to measure on the Mobble map. So for example, using this tool here, the measure tool, I'll just select measure. And then if I wanted to measure a fence line, for example, just select your first point and then your second point. You can see down the bottom here, it says length 5.4 kilometers. So just a really nice tool that can help you on your property, whether it be, assisting in your fencing, for example, or measuring pipelines or alike. I'm just going to click stop measure there. From this map options page up the top here, you can also view your property however you would like. So for example, if you don't want to see the mobs on the map, I can toggle off mobs and it removes them there. Generally, we do want to see our mobs and where they are on the map though. I could toggle off tasks, for example, or like the ability to download a KML copy of your file. That can be really useful when using other types of ag software, or you can take a screenshot as well. So taking a screenshot will essentially just take a screenshot of everything that you can see here on this map, and that could be useful with sharing it with the contractor, for example. The last one on the screen here that you could see is sensors, and I'll come to that in a moment when we talk through our integrations, but that's a really nice new addition to what you can see on your Mobble map too. Alrighty, so going through a few of the basic features of Mobble, essentially, and once you use how to use Mobble once it's all been set up. So you have the ability to move your mobs around to create records in terms of animal health, husbandry, feed records, for example. We'll talk through our live inventory as well. So really simply, if we want to move a mob, let's scroll into a mob down here. So let's select these 29 sheep. Let's see what these are. This is actually two mobs. So this is awesome. So we've got 20 Dorper ewes or we've got 9 Border Leicester ewes. Say, for example, we wanted to move these Dorper ewes. Let's select that. And you have the ability here to do a few different types of actions. So view mob, move, edit, add mob action, report casualty, or sell mob. Let's select move mob. So we're moving from the loosened paddock. We've selected one mob to move, but again, you can update this and add in that other mob there that you can see. Move to paddock. Let's select Amy's paddock and then the date here. So it will automatically show today's date, but you do have the ability to backdate these records and move records up to 60 days. So let's say that we move these on the 24th. I'm just going to do a really simple mob move to start with. So this is basically saying this entire mob is staying together and we're moving from the loosened paddock into Amy's paddock last week. So let's select move mob. And if we go to the map page, we just stuck into the paddocks page. We've gone from the loosened paddock here, and now that 20 head of sheep has been added to Amy's paddock. Alrighty, let's select another mob in this paddock, and I'm going to show you how you can do a split as you use Mobble. So we're going to select these 9 here, the Border Leicester ewes. We're going to move mob. So we're going from the loosened paddock, we've got that mob selected. We're going to move to, let's select the road paddock, which is just next door. We'll use today's date, but then to split this mob, we're going to select this split button here to the right of the mob details. Now on the left-hand side here, you can see remaining mob, and on the right-hand side, you can see the moving mob. So let's just say we're splitting this semi 50-50, so 5 and 4. So let's say that 5 head are moving to this new paddock and 4 are remaining in the loosened paddock. If you would like to, you can update the classes. So the remaining mob, these could be the dries. So they didn't scan in lamb. And then the 5 moving, these could be, let's call them singles. So they scanned in single. The age is staying the same here and the gender is staying the same. But you can update this if this were a mixed mob, for example, and you are splitting based on the age or the sex. Moving to the road paddock and today's date. We'll select move mob. And then if we jump back into the map, you can see that that mob has been split. We've got 4 staying behind in the loosened paddock and 5 moving into that road paddock. So just showing you a really nice way that you can use Mobble to update your paddock sizes, split mobs, update your classes as well as you go. If I were, for example, to click on this mob now, so this 5 Border Leicester ewes, and just select view mob, on the right here, you can see that that mob split just took place. So whenever you select into a mob, it will show you a detailed history of each mob. So we'll split today, we'll move previously, and any animal health records or feed records will also show on this mob too. So that's really simply how you can move a mob within Mobble. I'll show you now quickly how our inventory side of things works. So our inventory, which you can see on the left-hand side here, is a live inventory. So how it works is we've got three categories in here. So animal health, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizer, feed, grain, and storage. So essentially what we're doing here is we're replicating what you currently have on farm into Mobble so that you have a really nice record that the entire team can access. So for example, what this looks like, so if we select feed, grain, and storage, you can see what is currently on hand. Now, every business will use this slightly differently. Some will really rely on the quantities on hand, whereas others will just use it as record keeping, for example. So what we've got entered, we've got corn, feedlot, hay, lick, and supplements. If we select corn for the sake of this demo, just select view item. This just shows you a nice record on the right here of when corn has been used and what date. And if I scroll down, you can see different types of batches that have been added, quantities, the date received, and price per unit if you do add those details. You can also see feed usage over time. So you can do this by the last 12 months or a specific time period if you are really keeping record of your feed, but also if that's important moving forward. So if we wanted to add a new batch on the bottom right, what we'll do is we'll select add batch. Keep this as corn. Supply name, let's just call this March for the demo. Let's say we received 50 tonne. You can update your quantity units on the right here. So price per unit if that's important. Otherwise, that's entirely optional. Date received, let's use today's date, and any notes as well. So you can add any notes, whether that was this year's crop, last year's, for example, whatever's important for your record keeping. Select add batch. If I scroll down, you'll now see that that batch has been added here. March 50 tonnes received today. If you were then to feed that out to a mob, for example, what I'll do is I'll go back to the map page. Then we'll scroll in and let's select a mob. So let's say Carly's paddock. So we're going to select this 480 Dorper ewes in Carly's paddock. What I'll do is I'll select add mob action. So just confirming that mob, number affected. So it will pre-populate based on the entire mob, but it may not have been, depending on what action has been completed. The date, again, you can backdate this if that's important or you're catching up on your records. Action type, I'll select a feeding action here. Add product. And let's go feed, grain, and storage. We'll select corn. Supply name. So on the right here, you can see the March batch that we just added. And now you have the ability to add a quantity per head or a total quantity applied to the mob. So let's say that we fed out half a kilo per head. Make sure we update our units on the right here. Select kilo. That will automatically update the total quantity applied. You can add any notes. This may have been trail fed, for example, could have been put into feeders or alike. Add any attachments if that's important and select apply action. So this record will now be saved in two places. So if I select that Dorper ewes that we were just in, select view mob, it will show that that feeding action was applied on the right here. So new feeding action applied to 480 Dorper ewes. But it will also show back in your inventory. So if I go back into my inventory here, select feed, grain, storage, corn, view item. On the right here, you can see today's date and then 240 kilos applied. So just showing over time when product is used. And what it will do if I scroll down is, oh, it hasn't quite updated yet, but essentially this time record will increase to show that that product was added at today's date. As I mentioned at the start, you have the ability to add in any rain and rain gauge over time. This is manual at the moment, and I'll get to our integrations in just a second, but this is currently a manual record. You can see your summaries here. So you have an event log, which shows you every event that was completed on your Mobble account over time. And you can search these if you're trying to find something that has happened on your property. A list of your map assets, list of sensors, and again, I'll come to that in just a moment in terms of our integrations. But this is just showing you a really nice summary of everything that's happened in your Mobble over time. So sales, for example, if you sell a mob within Mobble, this will show a really nice list of sales and all sale records. If you click into one of these, it will show that full mob history as well. So just keeping all of your records safe over time, regardless of whether you need access to them or not. But just in case you do, if you need to go back into those records. Purchases, again, if you're purchasing any mobs over time, this will show you a record of all purchases. A nice new feature that we're rolling out at the moment is this attachment side of things. So I mentioned it before. So to your mob actions, to purchases, sales, and alike, you have the ability to attach files. So these attachments will be saved on every record that is made. In the next couple of days, or maybe even today, I don't have an exact time, but I know it's being rolled out at the moment. What you'll start to see in Mobble is a property level file and photo dashboard. And essentially what that's doing is that is just a property level place where you can save any file and photos that are relevant or important to your property. So this could be to assist with audits, for example, operational efficiencies such as how-to documents, instructions, files or instructions to assist with business continuity as well. So that's being rolled out at the moment, and you should see that pop up in your left-hand menu in the next couple of days, but definitely by the end of the week, which is incredibly exciting. But this photo file upload exists across nearly all of Mobble at the moment. So for example, tasks, you can see attachments here and alike, which is really exciting. And our developers have been working really hard on that. Reports down the bottom here. So the reports page, which is available on the web app, will show your historic livestock over time. You can filter this up the top here based on your time period and what's important to you, for example, financial year. You can view it based on head or whatever units are important to you, so DSE, for example. And as you scroll down, what you'll see here is our livestock reconciliation report. So this is based on the date range that was at the top of the screen. And what it's showing you is a starting head and a closing head based on your type, breed, and gender. And then you'll see a really nice snapshot of the difference that's changed in these mobs over time. So this difference column on the right. You can download this report as well, and you have the ability to drill down a little bit further based on what mobs you currently have in. So for example, cattle, Angus bulls, these are unclassed, and then it will show you those ear tags there. And then you just have a really nice livestock sales report at the bottom of the screen here. Now, I've mentioned it a couple of times on the sensors side of things, but one of the new features that we've just released with Mobble is we've recently integrated with Farmbot. So Farmbot assists, or I should say RanchBot, depending on where you are in the world, assists with water management and water monitoring. So if you do have Farmbot and you want to integrate Mobble with your Farmbot, to do this, what you'll do is you'll go to settings down the bottom here. You'll scroll down to, under organization here to integrations. And then you'll see here Farmbot. And then you click through and select manage, for example. Because this is the demo property, I don't have the ability to access this, but what you'll be required to do is it will prompt you in terms of getting the credentials from Farmbot so that we can link your two accounts together. But what that looks like once they are linked, and I'll just swap properties here to show you. Again, this is a demo property, so please ignore the exact data that's in here. But essentially what will show on your map is you'll see these really nice icons here which signify where your Farmbot monitors are. So if I was to select this trough, for example, this is just showing a snapshot of that trough. It's saying it's 85% full and a height of 34 centimeters. And then a last updated, which was today, which is awesome. So if I select into that, and then I scroll down, you'll also see this really nice reading over time. So it's just following that water level over time over the last 24 hours. And then you have the ability to go from this website, so from Mobble, straight into the Farmbot sensor if you want to drill that down even further. But that's a really nice rollout that has just happened in the last few weeks. So we are really excited about this. And if you would like any help with activating this integration, please do reach out to us. Again, Maddie will drop those details into the chat for you all. But we're really excited about this. In terms of what's coming next for Mobble, so we are working through quite a lot of integrations at the moment. So we do have an integration with AgWorld currently, but we are working through extending that to show the withholding period, which is incredibly exciting. We're also doing an integration with Farm Focus, which is farm accounting software. So continually adding more value through the Mobble reports and information, which is awesome. And then we're looking at Optiway and Farmo as well. So really ensuring that Mobble is sort of that central place for all farm data record keeping. And if you do have any feedback or you would like to see an integration with some other ag tech software, please do reach out to us because we're always excited to hear what everyone is after. What I might do is I might stop there in terms of the demo and the webinar, as I fear I have done quite a bit of information overload, and I might open up the floor for any questions if we have any.
Sam, there were a couple of questions that came through in pre-registration.
Yep.
Someone had, I wonder if Jim's on the call, just a daily what to do list. I know we don't have one at the moment, but if there's things like that that people would like to request, I mean, Mobile is built off farmer feedback. So if there's something that we don't do that you would find really useful on your property, either drop it into the chat now or let us know, or just send us an email because every single bit of feedback we go through as a team and look to integrate it if it's something that we think will add value while keeping Mobble really simple for people. So I just think, yeah, there's never a silly comment or question or bit of feedback.
Um,
Yeah, any questions
this
you're
is
live on
Diane.
the chat?
Oh, can I?
Oh, hey,
Hey,
Diane.
Diane, how are you?
Hey, um, is there a way? I know because it's not, it's like a mob or a herd, but if you're treating an individual animal within a herd, like, or that you've got, it would be nice to be able to record that, and I can't figure out how to do that.
Yes, so at the moment, Mobble is based on sort of, mob management style is what we specialize in. There are a couple of ways you can do it, but as I mentioned, because it's mob based, it's not perfect by any means. Um, for example, if I selected into this mob down the bottom here, this 5Us, and I added a mob action, the number affected here to 1, for example. You can do your action type, so whether you were a fly treating, for example. And then what you could do to this action is when you select files is upload a photo of that ear tag, for example, so that you know which one out of that mob has been treated. I know that's not a perfect use case for probably what you're after, but it is a way that you can keep a record there in terms of just that one that's affected over time. In those attachments as well, you can upload photos of, that fly treatment over time or whatever it is. I know your cattle over there in Alberta, but similar principle here. Does that
Thank you.
help from your
Yeah,
side at
no,
all?
yeah, it does. And I didn't notice actually, I've been a little negligent lately, but you didn't used to have notes on there. Did you? Is that new?
So the notes part has always been there. So if I did a mob action, so the notes section has always been there, but it can be overlooked at times just because it's not a mandatory field, so entirely optional. So yeah, any notes that you want to add, obviously, will save with that record.
Thank you.
If, for example, you wanted to go back and update that, you do have the ability to update that record as well. So if I just select, let's go back into, back into these views, and I just select view mob on the right-hand side here. That's not a good example because I didn't actually do the action. Sorry. Let's quickly do this mob action. and we'll just say one was affected, and we did a fly treatment, and then you select apply action. And then if I go back into that mob here, I select view mob. On the right here where it comes up new fly treatment action, you can then go back and edit this as well. So with that top right-hand corner here. So if you do want to add further notes over time or update this record, you do have the ability to edit that action too. Great question though, Diane. Maddie, any other questions coming through?
None that are like, oh, Adam's just come through. He's just researching options for dairy farms. It looks very good for herd movements. Can you manually record food on offer per paddock? And Adam, if you want to take yourself off mute and have a conversation with Sam about this as she's addressing it, go for it.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, perfect. So not specifically and potentially for what you're after. I think you did, you were asking about SIBO labs, for example, and we'll definitely log that feedback in terms of integration moving forward. What you can do, which it's helpful-ish to a degree, but is if you do a paddock action, you can add the notes on that. So sorry, if I go back to the map page, sorry, and let's select this March paddock, for example. You can do an add paddock action here. So if you did an action type, you can do a food on offer and do a manual update here in terms of food on offer that is available. I know it's probably not a perfect solution in terms of reporting over time, but you do have the ability just to create that record for you for your own record keeping.
Sure, thank you.
Is that helpful in terms of what you're after?
Yeah, I've got things in spreadsheets from farm walks and stuff, so some kind of combination thereof. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And then obviously if you did want to upload those sheets and things over time to at least have them all saved in one place, you do have the ability to do that.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, Adam.
Hello, Samantha.
Hey, Stephen, how you going?
Good. I just wanted to clarify something in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm running all my ewes as one large mob rotationally, and then I'll bring them in to do different management operations, and then I'll split my mobs according to what that management is. So we might start off with mixed ages, and then I'll split them into weights or pregnancy status.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that I'd be best to bring them into the yard, do what it is, and then create the splits from there, and then put them back in the paddocks, and then re-bring them back in the yard to then, say, for example, if I had 800 ewes, bought them in, split them into singles and twins and empties, and then bought the, so then they'd be split into 3 mobs, and then I'd bring them back in and then split the twins into weight, for example, because there might be some that are a bit lighter than others that need a little bit more feed. So then I could resplit them and then allocate them, and then that would allow me to manage those mobs by several different criteria or split them by different things. And that would then create that audit trail which would track how those animals are split up on that criteria. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And what you'd find is any record that you're doing to that mob, that's sort of one big mob at the start, that will be saved to each mob as it moves out. So if you're splitting that in half, all records that were done to that full mob will then follow that, those halves all the way through. Yeah.
Yep.
So just for a bit of context for everyone else on the call, we do have the ability to move mobs into what we call the yards, or I believe it's the corrals in Canada. And so what that looks like is there is a yard paddock here. And so you can add all your mobs into this one yard and then do processing based off the yard feature and functionality. So it is just a nice tool if you wanted to move everything into the yard and then split it off from there versus sort of doing it from the paddock side within Mobble, if that makes sense. But yes, Stephen, everything that you've saying in terms of your record keeping over time, everything, all those records will go with each mob as you move them.
No, great, thank you.
No worries at all. We probably have time for one more question if anyone has any. Otherwise, Maddie's going to drop the details into the chat in terms of reaching out on phone or via email to us. We have an incredible and very hands-on customer success team who'll be able to assist with any questions that you may have. We will also be doing another webinar in April, time and date TBC, just because we have the Easter break coming up, but we will update everyone as soon as we can. But we'll also drop in that registration link if you do want to sign up to register now, just so that you can get those notifications as they come through. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining us for this month's webinar. And I'm so sorry I said February about 10 times up front, but it's definitely March.
Sam, there's one quick question maybe we can just get to. Kylie asks, how do we correct an opening balance? And Kylie, unmute yourself if you'd like to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, Kylie, please. I'd love some more details. Sorry.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, all I was wanting to do is, like, I think I've missed, so basically I probably need to have a conversation more one-on-one later, but I've worked out when I've entered in sales back in 23, 24, I actually missed adding in some sales, which hence then has thrown my opening balance out for 24, 25. And then, of course, that's carried on till now. So, and I'm just wondering, how do I go back in to edit it and put the correct opening balance in without having to go back in and enter the sales I missed from 24?
Yeah, we should definitely be able to help you with that. What I recommend is, I think, give our customer success team a call just so you can explain exactly what mobs and numbers needing updating. But we should be able to go back in and update those records and things, and that should automatically flow through. Sorry, my voice is terribly croaky.
No,
But yeah,
fine.
I'm thinking maybe, give us a call and we can talk through that specific example. But we do have the ability to update records, so we should be able to assist you with that.
Oh, perfect. No, that's fine. Well, what I'll do then is sit down and have it all written down, what I need to do, and I'll give you a call next week.
Perfect. That sounds great. And I'll give the customer team a heads up that you'll be reaching out.
Excellent. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thank you so much, Kylie. Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for joining us this month. I hope you all get some rain if it's rain that you want at the moment. And if not, I hope you don't get rain. But thank you all so much, and we'll see you in April if you're joining us. But please drop us an email or give us a call if you have any further questions. Thanks, everyone.